All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is Wednesday, and it's December 30th, 2015. And the title of tonight's webinar is Entries, Targets, Stops with Viper Tools. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we might have, or anything else associated with Viper Trading Systems, even our trading room, should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we'll go ahead and get started. Real quick, I want to show you something kind of comical though, because we haven't, the website's basically opened up, but we were going to just leave it where it wasn't open at all for a while, but you know, since they're working on it and everything, we thought, hey, what the heck, just put it on up. But anyway, you'll notice under our contact page, Charles and I are twins, and we're not twins. I'm about 10 years older than he is, I think. Anyway, that's not us, okay? So don't worry about that. That's not who you're getting hold of when you get in touch with us. You can see me on Skype. I'm the old dude with a beard and a hat. Okay, and but these are correct numbers and everything, and we'll get all this set up. I think you can pretty much tell Charles is not actually support. I pretty much handle that. So anyway, we'll get this all fixed up too. But the homepage I think is really cool looking. You can see it comes up with a really nice Wall Street looking, you know, chart here so that you can, you know, see really high def and all that. And then you scroll down and you start seeing the Viper tools and things like that. And they kind of pop at you too. You know, like when you go down, see how they just kind of pop at you? It's a very professionally done website. I'm very pleased with it. Anyway, we won't stay on the website. You know, this will be a working thing, and it's being worked on as we speak, because right now, to give an example, the member login is under construction. Okay, a little earlier I could get in here and it had all the videos and things, but they're still working on it. So they put this page back up that they're working on it. Okay, so you won't be able to see any of our videos and things like that for a little while. I'm hoping by tomorrow morning. Okay, because they're actually still working on this. Once you do, we're going to actually put you in a username and a password, and it'll automatically send you an email even, and you'll basically be able to get in just like you always have. Okay, so anyway, that's enough of all that. Let's go ahead and go to some charts here. What I want to show you, and that's a pretty blank chart, isn't it? Okay, now this is really a chart, and I start a lot of webinars like this anymore, and it's really, I've noticed people all over the world have actually been starting to see things a lot more clearly rather than everything being so just, you know, like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like drinking out of a water hose. What do I do? And you don't have to worry about that. Right, you can't see this trend, can you, David? But the beauty of Viper is that with our tools, you can see the trend. To give you an example, I'll just put on Viper Lightning 3, and we'll apply it to the chart and get this out of the way for a minute. Well, we'll just close it. And I think you can pretty much clearly see by looking at this right now anyway, the trend is down, right? You can scroll over to the left even to see, yep, looks like it's down, right? All right, now we have no prices on here. They're really there, but they're transparent. But you can clearly tell, look at this, thrust. See, it even went up to here and then down to here. So basically this is just going like this, like this, like this, like that. And then you have another indicator that we have called the VIP dynamic trend. This one really pops it and lets you know, hey, wait a minute, that trend's down, isn't it? Okay, and these are important indicators because they're going to let you know that when these trends are down and when to be watching for the proper type of trade. Okay, now the one thing that I want to mention tonight, and I think this is really important, the three trends that we talk about, there's a minor trend, There's a more of a secondary or medium trend, and then there's a longer term trend. You can go against the medium trend and even the longer term trend, obviously that one, with the minor trends, okay? And we do that all the time. So, don't just get locked up into only trading this way, but also keep in mind when you go against the trend, you're scalping, okay? Because to give you an example, if this was to break up like above this mid band, and you had like, for instance, a little box drawn over here, okay? And you decided that you wanted to take it long if it broke this little box, right? Or maybe there was some consolidation right here and the box might be even here like this, okay? You still got to realize that I've got resistance up here, okay? And I've got support down here, okay, right at this time looking at this chart. So that tells me that even though I go against this trend, if I do, then I know that, for instance, if I take this trade right here, let's just pretend we don't know the bars are here, but they a lot of times are, I promise you that, because we box these in all the time. But see, from say 95 to 12 is 17 ticks, okay? So that would be a decent trade if I was to look at that, as long as my lightning was to the upside on my little micro trend. And if it was like close to an open or a news event or something like that, it makes it even better. Okay. So remember that, for instance, this trade, I went ahead and purposely put this today because I want to teach more of the trades that we called and took today, to be fair about it. Okay. And this was basically around 7-ish that I basically did this market replay here. But the whole idea is that you want to make sure that if you do go against the trend, until it realizes that it's actually changed trends, you're just scalping. For instance, if I hit up here around this 12 on a break like this, then protect that coin, okay? I remember this trade this morning. We actually called it and took it, and it went up, I believe, to 15, 16, or 17, something like that, and then just rolled over right here at this phantom and headed down. Everybody remember that? I called the down too. I didn't catch the down, but I did call the down. The reason I didn't catch it because I was long here and I just got stopped out of my third bar. Remember that? And I'm going to show you that exact type of trade that was called and how you can make sure that you can get both sides of these trades if you're prepared in the morning. Okay, I like to a lot of times have two charts ready to go. Sometimes I do get calls, support, and things like that. And, if I don't get quite ready in the room, it's not a big deal because there's a lot of trading morning. But you'd be surprised, just like if your children walk in on you or, wife or anything like that, they can make a difference of $600 in your account pretty easily. Okay. So, always be aware that no matter what time you trade, that you want to make sure that you have as little distractions as possible, because there's a lot of money to be made in markets. There's a lot of money in these markets, but there's a lot that gets lost too. Okay. Now, what I showed so far, you can clearly see that we're in a downtrend. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just show you the actual chart now so that we can see what we've got. And I want to diagnose it for you. Go ahead and take this one down. And I'm going to, before I show this, let me get rid of lightning because I want to show you from scratch. All right. And let me get it a full chart. Here we go. All right. This is that exact same chart that I just showed just a minute ago. All I did was added the bar colors, the background, and all that. This is our template that we use. Okay. Now, looking at this chart, there's a couple of ways to look at this. What I call my medium swing is right here. Okay, because this is your larger thrust. Okay, when you get these nice retracements and a large thrust down, and they usually turn these bars this color too. Okay, now on a long range long chart instead of a short chart, you're going to get either the yellow or the red on it when it pulls back, and just the opposite on this one where you get the yellow and then the blue above. Okay, red and the yellow in one. All right. So, but looking at this chart right here, can you see also that if you look at your lightning, to give an example, even though this is kind of zigzag, you can still see these little thrusts, consolidation, thrust, consolidation, you know, thrust, little consolidation, then down some more. So this kind of tells me that this is a little fake swing here. That's usually what it is, but that's a good area to get out. Okay, this is your identified swing here, right? So if they break this to the upside, then we've talked about this a lot. When they break micro swings, they're going to go up and check medium swings. And that's why this trade was called this morning in the room where we took it up to here. Okay, and that's important to know on a chart, you know, what direction you're looking at. And you go, well, wait a minute, Gary, you just said this is a short chart. It's a short chart until it takes out that swing right there. Okay, see, because this is our first thrust, retrace, thrust. A lot of times these little bitty moves, they don't count as much. When they consolidate more like this, they do. I also call this my secondary swing. Okay, this is a lot more minor than your big swing. See, this is a big swing here when you go from, you know, for instance, like this to this, you know, big, nice retracement. And then you go like this. I need to change that color, don't I? Anyway, you get the drift of it, right? I'll go ahead and change that color on that one anyway. Big old gold one. All right, see that where it comes down? So you know that's your medium swing, right? So technically you're not going to really change trends until that's taken out. But it doesn't mean that you can't go after that swing to see if you can tag it, because that's resistance. Okay, so that is why Viper likes to do these little things like this. You know, put a little region, put it just above the swing like that. You know, where would this break back to the downside? Well, it would break back to the downside if it took out this swing right here, right? Okay, and a lot of times, so you don't get wicked in those, I'll even look and say, well, wait a minute, let's see. I've only got 79 to 71, so that's not even going to be a 10-tick trade if it was to break here. Okay, so what I can do instead, I can wait for this to break here, pull back and kiss, and then take it instead. What I'm looking for instead right now is very possibly a test up to here, because we are getting a lightning to the upside. See how you can clearly see that that's a thrust, a retrace, and a thrust? Takes out that top just enough to make that little third pop up there. So then we expect it to possibly go higher. Still in a downtrend though until it takes this out. Everybody sees that, right? Because that medium swing to me is one of the most important. Now, what I would expect, and I've showed this to many, many people out there that trade Viper, if this was to break up in the morning, for instance, I would expect it to do this and then a nice, beautiful pullback somewhere into support, maybe even a little under it, you know, but it's going to test support and then it's going to bounce. And I could just about guarantee you by the time that happens, that's going to turn green. This background's going to turn green, and you're going to know it's a trend change. Okay, but it still doesn't mean that we can't trade against the trend to get to these levels to see if, you know, for instance, if I think I can make 10 ticks, maybe it'll only get in here and still give me a lower high, I'll still go for something like that, because you're trying to make 8-10 ticks at a time, right? If you can. Okay, and that's a pretty clear uptrend as far as a micro trend goes. Okay, that's only the micro though. All right, so what you could do is simply turn this bottom one off. Okay, turn this one on. You could do a touch plus if you wanted to, or you could do an actual close right there. Okay, and so when that closes above that swing right there, if you activate it, that is, then that'll take that trade automatically for you. Okay, but if you're a very astute trader and you're thinking, well, you know what, If it hits resistance here, I'm going to short the daylights out of it. Okay, because until it takes this out, that's still a short background. So what you can actually do is simply go with a second chart, like I'm showing here. Okay, we can do the exact same thing, but what we will do, we'll look at this swing here. We'll draw us a line. Okay, and that's one of our favorite trades too. That's called a phantom trade. Still clearly a downtrend, right? Heading down, that's our medium swing. So we simply put our region right there, take it up here. You can move it just like that. Take it up to our line. We want to do short from the top. I usually like to do touch +2 or even touch +3. It's up to you on that. And then that's what we're going to look for, is if it gets up there. It won't do anything at the bottom of the box if I have the T set only. That means at the top of the box, it will look for a short. If it comes within 2 ticks of that box and then goes down 1 tick, it'll fire. Okay, and then I'll have a stop in somewhere up here. Okay, so that's what I want to show you tonight too. We're talking about entries, stops, targets with the Viper tools. Okay, and this was exactly the way the trade was called today, and this was the way a lot of our people did happen to get it. If you only had one chart going, you've either got to do a reversal trade. I don't like reversal trades. I'll do them once in a while, only if it's like at around an open or something like that, because you want to be careful doing that type of trade because they'll just barely wick you in. You want to use good common sense to at least break these swings, you know, to get in. Okay, so let's go ahead and well, that's about 7:11 in the morning, so it's going to take a few minutes to get this going to the trade that was called this morning. All right, but we'll simply set this region up like this, and that one's set now. So if it gets within 2 ticks of that right there, I don't have to worry about it. It's going to fire. If it doesn't get there, so what? Okay, but it will fire if it gets there for me. Okay, let's go ahead and speed this up just a little bit. Hopefully I don't speed it up too much. Okay, we'll let it just ping around a little bit. Okay, and I want to also show you tonight, and like I do in every single webinar, where you can tell where the next trade is based on these beautiful swings. Okay, and by the way, I'll show you another trade that was called live in the room as soon as we get to that one. Tonight's webinar is going to be about some of these exact trade calls, the stops that you want to set on them, and of course your targets. And targets actually depend on, you know, how many contracts you're doing, or if you want to just do a runner. There's a lot of people that, you know, for instance, will trade and only go for 6 or 7 ticks with one contract. And if they lose on, you know, say one trade out of every 3, they're liable not to make any money. You know, that's not a real smart way to trade. You can just overtrade yourself and then end up, your broker loves you. They send you, you know, candy and liquor at Christmas or whatever. That's not what you want. You want your broker to kind of hate you because you're a good enough trader that you don't pay them all your money. Okay, now so far this isn't doing anything. Let's just speed it up a little bit more. This is still not the time of day that we traded yet. We traded at about 7:55. 7:59, wasn't it? Yeah, 7:59, not 7:55. Now notice if this breaks through here, it will not fire this trade. Now, by the way, if you see this type of thing where it comes right down to support, you want to take a chance at it, see where it did that right at my line, you can buy that, but be careful because it could easily head down too. Okay, I'm going to show you just more or less how to do the little breakout instead, because this was also what we called a band-aid right at the open. Okay, it's getting ready to fire. Maybe not yet. Close. If it closes above that line, it sure will, won't it? Now, when I see that type of thing where it does this even, You can, if you want to, take a chance and just go ahead and click buy. You see what I mean? Because you're right in a little consolidation patch. You could always put your stop just under here. Here it goes. Looks like it's going to pop it. Study charts all the time too. Anytime you have spare time, you know, put down the basketball, the football, and everything else if you want to make a living trading, because the chart time is where it's at, is to be able to watch these charts and see them trade. All right. Now notice we have 5, 10, and 15. So there's like looks like $300 there. You just got filled on your short here. See, it's your Phantom right there. Okay. And I'll slow this down a little bit because this is right at the open. All right. Notice how we got a profit target on this one. Okay. It came right to where we drew in the room this morning even. All right. Notice how it barely took this out right here. I mean, just barely took it out. Okay. You can actually take your trade off the table when they come up above these and then they close back underneath, unless you get like a bar close back up. And this morning in the room, that's what we were looking for. We had 2 down and we wanted that one to close up. So our last contract was sitting there. And when that bar started closing down, we closed it down. Okay. But if you had taken the Phantom trade over here, which was also called, you could actually clearly have a nice short with support right here on this little swing. That's where one of your targets would be. And look where that ellipse showed up. Isn't that beautiful? It's telling you that that's a good area to protect a little bit of coin. Okay, because it more than likely will bounce there just a little bit. Okay. Now, since it could bounce there just a little bit, what if you said, you know what, if it bounces here, what if I take a chance and go ahead and go long right there at mid-band like Charles and Gary teach a lot? Maybe we'll only go 2 just in case. But if it bounces here, maybe we'll get a little bit of a trade. You know, and you can always watch it manually too, because, you know, when they come down to support like this, a lot of times they will bounce. Okay, watch it and see if it doesn't just do that. But see, you could still be short on this one, because what have you got going so far? Well, you've got going a nice short trade at Phantom. Okay, you're getting ready to try to take a bounce at support. And right now you've just been in the open for just basically a few minutes. Okay, getting a little bit of pullback, no big deal. Didn't pull down to support though. I wouldn't buy this yet. We like to buy these mid bands if they come down right to mid band and kiss them and jump. A lot of times you can do those and box them in, or if they hit that ellipse maybe, that's where I've got that box set. That's where that ellipse is at. I'm going to have to speed it up again a little bit. I remember this morning we pretty much wrote some Z's into the comment box like, whoa, oil, could you get any slower? Everybody remember that? I want to show you how you can use this lightning to know right where to get in these trades too. Okay, we're going to take several trades that were called in the room. And like I say, the repetition of it is what really pays out. Okay, it pays nicely. Okay, let's see. We're still in a short, so since we've only got 2 contracts, I'm going to go ahead, thrust, retrace, thrust, go for the first 5 tick, and then only up to the swing on the next one, just in case this is still heading down. But I'm trying to get a little pop at mid-band. And then I would put my stop nice and tight like that right there. Okay. Just in case. There we go. We got 1, we got 2. All right. Notice how that bounced a little bit right to resistance. You're still short on this one because you shorted Phantom. You'd naturally bring your stop right just above here. Basically where you put that, like so. Just a couple of ticks above it. That's a lightning swing, so you can clearly tell by drawing your lightning. Well, Lightning, you going to draw or not? Let me draw it from this side. For some reason, I can't get lightning to draw. Let me try it again. There we go. All right. All right, notice how that swing right where I put my stop above kind of protects me that way, doesn't it? Okay. And when you trade, anytime you trade, always look to the left to trade the right, because you've always got support and resistance. And that's what you're looking at. You're looking at these ellipses, for instance. Look over to the left and see where the little swings are, right? And you'll see them bounce off of them, believe me. Let's look over here. To give an example, here's 85. All right. Anybody remember in the room this morning that was called 85-ish, remember? So could you, as a trader, be ready to take that trade for a bounce when it gets down here? See, here's a swing right here at 82. All right. If you're in the habit of trading like two charts like this, you can certainly do this, because you've got an a priori swing down here, and that is definitely support. Okay, you want to try it? Let's just go down here and see if it will. All right, we'll go to 82. We'll go long at the bottom. We'll do touch +2, and we'll hit enter. It won't fire anywhere near the top. It'll only fire when it bounces off that bottom. And as soon as we get a firing of it, we'll get a stop. And this is only, by the way, 20 minutes into the market. If you got two charts set up, if you don't get your second chart set up, or if you get delayed or something like that, it's pretty important to have your workspace really going, first thing in the morning, because it's pretty valuable. Anybody have any questions so far? Any questions so far? Because what we try to do is we offer these tools so that you can actually see these in real time. And of course, in the room, you know that. Peter, on your question, let's see, is it possible to live trade long and short using Ninja with two chart setups? Yes. Yeah, the way a strategy is written, they always send identifiers to your broker for strategy type trades. And you can actually be long and short at the same time, yes. Because see, what you're trying to do on this one, for instance, we called this trade this morning live in the room. This was a phantom trade, okay? And this little trade right here can put some pretty good money back in your account, okay? But notice that we also took a quick long here, okay? We're getting ready to take another one right here, because that's an a priori swing, and it's also close to a 12 range swing over here too. See that double number there? That's a 12 range swing. And we even this morning mentioned that you shorties be sure and protect some coin down here at 82. So I'm going to get a quick long if it'll get down there and bounce, and I'm pretty sure it did this morning, because what I'm doing here is I'm teaching you the trades that were actually called in the room. But watch how this beautifully does. You're going to watch these. They come down to support. There's our entry, because it went within 2 ticks, bounced up. We're feeling a little bit of heat. Okay, we're in at 84 and we're at 82 right now. All right. Now, if this completely breaks, you might not want to put 12 ticks. You could always bring your stop just under this swing, like right here. Okay. And I'll do just that. I'll go ahead and do it under that swing like that. See, all it was doing was testing that swing too. And we're still okay. If it takes us, it's no big deal, because this would not kill our account. Okay. Now I'm going to show you another trade that was called in the room this morning. And these were on live charts. And what we're looking for is a retrace. Okay. Now, right now I see resistance here. I see resistance right here, looking to the left to trade the right. Okay. So between 91 and 96, okay, I expect this to roll over. Everybody know why we expect it to roll over there? Y'all that have traded with us a long time, I know you know. Okay, because if it comes up to resistance here or here, this is mid-band. This is a very important part of our scripts. That's where we expect to get a rollover. I like to draw my swings instead with lightning, so I draw two lines. And this area right here is where I expect this to roll over. Okay, so what I could do is bring my little trusty object trader down here and just wait. I don't have to turn it on yet because I want it to actually act like a box only when I'm ready for it. And I think everybody remembers that was in the room this morning. I'll show you the exact bar that was called out to get in on this particular trade. It was called live in the room. Said we wanted near mid band, but I was not going to take the first bar to the downside because oil had been acting a little cantankerous. So you can always wait for the second one if you want. And usually if you get like an up bar and a down bar, you'll actually get more of a little box forming, right? Okay, now our stop wouldn't be way up here, obviously. Right now, we'll get that moved in just a second. I'm going to show you another trade. You'd actually be putting your stop just above that swing right there because that's your identified swing. Everybody remember this one at all? Then we turned on the box. And I said I would go on the not the first bar to the downside, but the second one. So we'll watch it for a minute. Here's your first bar to the downside, trying to form anyway. You can kind of tell when they kind of push up and then they push hard down. You just get used to looking at charts. There's one. Okay, that one's just resting on top of support there where we got our box drawn. See how they give you a little box? That's what we drew live in the room this morning. Not after it happened, as it was happening. Okay, so couldn't I actually be ready to get me a trade with the close of a bar? I could even use bar close, by the way, instead of a region, because I did call this trade this morning in the room by simply saying bar close to the downside, I'm in. Okay, you don't have to do like 3 contracts, obviously. All right, see how it just added those? And then I even mentioned to Charles, okay, that I'm going to add when it comes below here. And you could easily do that with your region or your bar close. Simply set it up like that and bingo. Now I probably wouldn't do 2 extra, just 1 would be fine. And I'm not sure if I got that in time. We'll still get it if it touches that box and closes. We'll see. May have missed it. It's okay if I did. Still got 3 on. That's plenty. Everybody remember that trade? And notice by looking to the left how you could tell where that resistance was based on that lightning. Yeah, we missed that when we didn't get our next one. But what do we do when we're trading with Viper trading systems? We get a target down to support area. We even mentioned in real time, fade that little dude by a couple of ticks. Okay, 73 would be fading it by a couple of ticks, right? You could even swap the two if you want to just carry one on down and go ahead and take profit on two instead. See how that says quantity 2? I could go ahead and do that and take my profit on 2 contracts. Or if I want more money and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it, I could simply take 1 off there instead. Okay. It's really a good way to trade, the way this is taught and the way you can see it in real time on your charts. Notice how we actually got along, and that was called Live in the Room this morning. You also got the short at Phantom. That was also called Live in the Room this morning. And this little trade right here that was called Live in the Room this morning felt literally no heat whatsoever and headed down pretty nicely. 71 was just a stopping place for a moment. Everybody remember that? Like I say, this is just a really good way to read these charts and see what's going on. Let's go ahead and get rid of lightning. We don't really need it anymore. All right. Now, tonight was also about stops, right? So let's get rid of object traders region right now. We don't need it. All right. We're in the trade. We don't even need these lines anymore, right? We already used them. All right. So a question for the team that's in here right now. Where should my stop be? With lightning, right? Now, you don't have to leave it all the way up here, because if we're going to head down, we need a lower high here. So you kind of watch it to see when you get these bars to the downside and you get these little consolidation patches and then they break, you'll be able to see right where to put your stop. You can kind of get it like mid-band to give an example, because they shouldn't come up this high even. All right, but as soon as it takes out this little swing right here, that's my stop right there. Also called Live in the Room, because that's where we put our stops. Now, it's not there yet because it hasn't identified that swing. You can draw lightning if you don't see it. See how lightning is thrust, retrace, only wicked it, so this doesn't count. This doesn't count. Now it counts. See it? See, that counts now. So I can bring my stop right there. Okay? And then you can just absolutely stay with lightning until this trade gives up the ghost. Because we've got a little bit more than runners on, so you could protect the coin if you wanted to, because you do have scale out on Object Trader. That's pretty nice to use. For instance, if it comes down to 71 and bounces, you could always take 1 off. I could even bring this target up here now that hadn't gone quite as low as I wanted to yet. That's fine. Take some profit. Okay. Or I can just move the target out of the way and say, you know what? If it bounces off 71, I'll just turn on bar close and dump 1 contract, but I won't turn it on yet because I don't want it on yet, right? What's that? If it's going to go down, it's going to make a lower high than that right there, because the whole nature of a downtrend is lower highs and lower lows. So if that takes out that thrust, retrace, thrust, that's no longer heading down. It could be consolidating or something. So my stop's good right there. It should respect it. They sometimes make you sweat it, but if that's going to hold, that swing needs to hold. That's lightning. You can even use lightning 2 if you want to see it. Lightning 2 is actually a little stronger. See, it doesn't even show a swing yet because it's looking for at least a 2-bar swing. Okay, so if I don't see a 2-bar swing, then I've got to take lightning 2 off and go ahead and put lightning 1 on and then decipher what it's doing. See how you just got a lower high than that one right there? Not identified yet, but it's given me a little bit more confidence that we're okay on this stop. But don't put it right on the money like this because they'll wick them, okay? You got to put it just a tick or so above that swing. Let me get that line out of the way. Just a tick or so above it, okay? And as soon as it makes more swings, we'll get even tighter stop again, right? Peter, on your question, how did we get so disciplined in our stops? By watching these swings for, basically when I met Charles, we were trading together after meeting on a webinar that he was teaching. And we ran into a guy that actually introduced us to range bars. And that was 9 years ago. And it was like night and day of what you can see with minute charts. We were trading 3-minute and 1-minute charts and 10-minute guidance. And that's almost impossible. I mean, you're getting breakout trades. Sure, if you want to hold 40 tick stops, yeah, you can trade like that. But, who wants to do that with, 4 or 5 contracts? 40 tick stop with 5 contracts on oil would be a small fortune, right? That's the whole idea. Notice how we finally got a magenta telling us this trend is for sure down. Okay, so I can actually move one of my targets out of the way, right? Just get it where I think it's going to go. Always look to the left to trade the right, though. Always. Let's see where they've been and where they're going. Haven't been there in a while, so we're going to say 60 first. Go ahead and draw a line there. It's a 12 range swing. And get back over to our chart and see how close we are to it. Yeah, that'd be a pretty good area to protect some coin. Everybody see why I put that there? Because that's a nice swing. Now the rest of my trade, I'm going to just ride with lightning though, because lightning will make a big difference in your bottom line if you get to really knowing how to use it. And lightning is just basically glorified swings. Okay, where's our swing just about to be? Right there, as soon as that closes below. Like that. Now you don't have to leave it as high as this, because when it breaks this right here, it is not coming back to here. Okay, if it's going to continue down. So, you don't have to say, well, I'll leave it behind lightning like this when you've dropped 30 ticks. You can always say, well, you know what? If they came back to resistance, they should kiss and roll over. If they came back to this one, they would even kiss and roll over. So I'll probably put it like there. See what I mean? Or even bring it down to the second resistance back so that they don't wick you out of this one. Okay? But once they actually break one, you can bring it all the way down because that's lightning. Okay? Let's see what time it's getting to be on our little clock because we called this trade out. It's 9:13, so we were still in it. But oil inventory came around and we also called some calls on oil inventory too. I did because oil inventory is kind of my thing each Wednesday. Let's see, sniper or region works the same way. Absolutely, Giuseppe, it does. The region, the beauty of a region is that you can see the little shaded area and everything, and it kind of you just kind of know where everything's at. But if you want to use the sniper lines, those are really good too. And by the way, we're going to be working on this. This will be the year of Object Trader in 2016 because we're going to be working on getting a lot of this, what I'd call even more user-friendly and really optimize Object Trader. And hopefully, who knows, maybe even go to Ninja 8 next year sometimes. Right now it's still in beta, so we got to kind of wait on that. When you're thinking about trading, every time those bars do what they're doing like this, you're saying, you know what? I'm making $50 every time one of those bars, pops down. 4 ticks is 40. So usually when they pop down, there's 5 ticks or so. And they're pretty nice. You know, $50 at a time is not too shabby. Close below so you can put your swing right there, right? Now, what if you actually just literally missed this trade entirely? You know, it's getting probably too close to oil inventory, so we won't look at this one as much. But I think everybody that's been with us can truly see, though, that what you want to really do is look to the left to trade the right, and where did it break down? The breakdown area is the most important part of it, because that's where they'll usually go back and check. You'd like to see a ratchet option on OT. I could always talk to my programmer. There's some things I'd like to add to OT. You know, one of them would be, you know, I'm going to get this just a little bit above there because yep, it got me anyway. We'll go back in. If it rolls over, because you could tell that was going to do that. See, it wicked that area. So that wasn't really your stop. It was right here, and I was getting ready to make sure it was at my secondary instead. But I'll go ahead and take it again. If it doesn't take this secondary out, gives a lower high, and rolls over. And I'm going to go with 3 again. Can't take out my secondary, though. If it's going to be a lower high, it's got to respect it. If it blows up through it, I'm never going to get this trade. If it closes up, it won't fire. It's got to close down. There we go. All right, we get a target out of the way, target out of the way, target to the bottom within a couple of ticks, and see if we can get some more of this trade. But yeah, what I was talking about, Kenneth, was I'm going to try to get it next year to where you'll be able to tell how many percentage of your contracts you want on each target, things like that. And even some money management features to be built into it where you'll be able to, for instance, the trader itself will say, you know, you should risk X contracts on this particular trade due to the average that you're hitting right now, that type of thing. There's some script out there that's really good like that I'd like to put in it. And there was oil inventory. So obviously oil inventory, you wouldn't have left your trade in because that wouldn't really be realistic. And we didn't this morning. We were already out of the trade. But since I was talking just now, we went ahead and did. I'll put my stop just right above there. Okay. Just right above that swing, just in case. And it looks like it's going to get us. Got us. All right. Where do you think that this more than likely, if it slows, I'll slow it down a little bit. It's going like 30 times, and I think I might have missed that one. But see your resistance right there? I'd be willing to bet that it would hit its head there. See if it'll get up there. There we go. If it hits its head right there, I'll go ahead and take a quick trade. Resistance kiss. And see if it rolls over. That's also right at our ellipse too. There we go. Everybody know why I set that up there? That was actually simply because that was a good resistance area, just like we did on our support a little while ago. Now I would tighten my stop though, just in case, because we already got a scalp. Okay. Looks to me like support is right down here. So if you wanted to, you could actually protect it right there. See it? You know, you don't have to wait. And you could even put your stop literally right there if it happens to bounce. This is right after inventory. See there? There's ways to make, you know, pretty decent money trading this. Now let me show you how we do it with the boxes. Bear with me a second. I'm going to go ahead and we're flat, so let's go ahead and reload NinjaScript for just a minute because my Lightning is out of kilter. I forgot to turn it on infinite. No, there it is. Okay, never mind. All right, let's go ahead and do our box at 931. Viper time regions, where are you? There we are. Let's go ahead and do 931. And 932. Hopefully I'm not too late already. And we'll put them on the chart. And then you can get ready to trade these like this. Did you know that? For instance, if you wanted to put a box right above that right here, you want to try it and see if it'll do it? Let's go ahead and do it. You got a box right here. Okay, basically you're short out of your 931, right? But let's go ahead and just box it in with a region. Like so. All right, and I'm only going to take a little, since we missed the short, we're going to look for a break to the upside because we already missed our short. All right, we'll leave it like that. And I'll turn off short. We'll turn on long. We'll just do 3 with, like, let's see, you got resistance up here. 6, that would be a 10 ticks or even possibly 15. So we'll go ahead and do 3 like that and see if we can get up here. That's our little box right there. I have to speed it up. I remember this morning too. It slowed down right after that huge monster nice move. Everybody remember that? Let's see, Kenneth, on your question, which Lightning? On which one are you talking about? Yeah, Dennis, on your question, you'd basically be able to tell the trading system what risk you were willing to take. It would look at your trading ability, so to speak, your win ratio and things like that, and then it would actually fire the correct amount of contracts for you. Right. Okay. I think what I did just a minute ago, yeah, there we go. All right, we got us a little long trade right there. All right, our stop's down below the line. Let's see if we can get anything on this. Got a little bit. Let's see, can you do a Renko bar webinar? Sometimes I've watched your settings and you seem to be basically, Peter, on your question there, not changing them around for the right combination, just basically trying to get used to them myself. You know, once I get to the point where I really like a particular setting, like we did the 4-range bar, you know, years and years ago, I'll settle down on that. I've been playing actually with a 4-5-1 and a 2-4-2. 2-4-2 seems to be a little ratchety for me. I don't like it as much. But the Renko bars, the beauty of a Renko bar is just simply it cuts out some of the noise. But then again, the noise is what we see these trades with too. You know, that's the whole idea of how we see these trades is that noise that's on the chart. And let's see if we get something on this. I remember this morning. We boxed it in. We took the trade. Get one target out of the way. There's an a priori right there at 60, or pardon me, 80. I'd probably protect some coin right up there because this is still basically a downtrend so far. I think everybody can see that by looking at the chart, right? Let's see, why did you take a long with a short background, Ron? Just because of exactly what I was talking about the whole time in the webinar today. You want to only trade against the trend if you're willing to scalp, or inventory, of course, is a totally different story. This is oil inventory right here. This is where we box them in. But you can also clearly see, look at this. High, low, higher, low, about the same high, pretty close. It's just a wick. And then what is that now? A higher high again. So that Band-Aid worked really well right there. And we called that this morning in the room too. Remember that? And we got our targets right there too. Now that's a phantom trade right there. I just missed it. Should have sold it right there on that bar. But that's a phantom trade. And where did I draw my line? It came up to 82. There's another swing. Well, it was 82. And there's one at 80, pardon me. So you got 80 and 82, like so. And look how they hit them, and then just perfect phantom trade. Now, it's only perfect if we make money, obviously. But that's called a phantom trade. And we take those all the time. That's first time after trend change in a phantom trade. Where do you want to protect the coin? Where would you think you could go long on this chart? I'll show you because I can see it. Let me get rid of region. Everybody see it? Thrust, retrace, thrust. Where do you think this is going to bounce? It's going to bounce right there at that mid band because that's a thrust, retrace, thrust. That's support right there. Okay? So could I be ready to take that like so, long inside, long touch +2. We'll do 3 contracts, and we'll do it with without the fourth one. We're just doing 3. And I won't turn on the top one. We're just trying to get a support bounce only. Okay? And so I turn it on. Now notice that I'm actually short on one chart, and I'm going to be long on the other, but I'm going to also protect my coin like we teach. There's my swing. See it right there? And since they broke this little swing, you can bring it down a little bit, like break even right now, because they should not come up as high as this swing, and probably not even as high as this one if you draw your lightning. Okay? And I even mentioned this morning in the room, protect your coin at mid-band. So if you were short from phantom, that's where we teach to protect the coin, is at mid-band. All right, now we haven't gotten our long yet, and we haven't gotten our target, of course, on our short that'll trigger our long. Okay, and there you go, just got your short, and we should get our long on a touch +2, and it kind of cratered through it, so it hadn't fired yet. There's 1, there's 2, and there's your target right up there, because that's resistance, right? Okay, just in case this goes against me, I want to at least get a scalp. And once I get a scalp, I'll bring my stop under there. Okay, but until I get a scalp, I don't want it quite there just yet. Okay, now I could go ahead and save 4 ticks of it or so. It might still get stopped out though. I have not gotten a scalp yet. Everybody see that? You haven't gotten your scalp yet. See why you don't want it just under that support? I told you it'd break that support just a little bit. Tell you what, those areas there where you know where it's thrust up and pulls back to are absolutely worth their weight in gold. Okay, where do we see resistance again? Well, until it changes directions, we've still got a short trend, don't we? So I could be right up here ready to go at resistance again. And take that trade. Okay, now if it blows through there, it won't fire. Okay, but they check these lots and lots of times. Okay, now if they don't make it up here, I'll do a lightning trade instead, which means that as I get a little zigzag, I'll just bring my region and turn this one on also. Well, it looks like I already got it. Touch +2. Did we get our target? Let's bring our stop tight because we may not get our target. See, it already hit resistance. Hopefully we'll get our target. But we don't want to take out the target because now we're short. We could always put our stop just above that ellipse because that's telling us where it could very well possibly change trends if that happened. But right now it's just kissing resistance, so we're fine. There we go. We just got our target there on that one too. Okay. See how you can do this to really trade some really great trades? You're thinking, uh-oh, we're breaking up a little bit, Gary. You going to get this one? Well, until it changes trends, until it gets me a scalp, I'm going to have to leave that stop there at least. Does like they do a lot of times. They barely take it up and then they pop it right back down below resistance. Now I'll bring my stop right there because that should hold this next time around. If it's going to head up, then it's going to get me out. And it looks like it might do just that, and that's fine. Okay? But is this a trend change yet? I'm going to ask everybody in the room, after everything that I've taught tonight, is this a trend change yet? We can trade both sides just like I've taught tonight, but keep in mind until this is a trend change, I'm not actually looking for a really, really break to the upside until what? Same thing I taught all this evening. We'd have to break this resistance right here, like so. Whoop, didn't draw. Like so. And then it would have to pull back. It did break it, but it barely broke it. I mean, I'm talking about you have to break it because this is what? A 1, 2, 3, still got a red background. So this is not a trend change yet. Matter of fact, you're still in a downtrend. I would not be afraid to short that myself and even feel a little bit of heat simply because it should not take this out again. Okay? Because it took out the bottom of it. See there? Your lightning went the other direction. So I'm pretty safe on this trade, even though it may take some time to get where I want it to go. That's still fine, because it looks like we're going into chop. And my target would be right here where the midband is, right? So I could simply put both my targets at midband. Okay? When they're going sideways like this, you can trade this resistance and support. Where do you think another trade could very well set up on this chart? Well, let's look and see if we can figure out a long trade. Let's look and see. They've checked here. That's 64. You got a little micro swing right here that is 67. And you got another swing here that's a little more identified at 72. But it's already tested that. So see how it's already tested it? So get that out of the way. So I'm looking for a trade between 68 and 65 to the long side. And the closer they get to midband, the happier I am. This is still an uptrend so far on our micro trend, right? But on our medium trend, we're still down. That doesn't mean you can't take a long trade if it bounces off these areas where support is. We'll go ahead and try one more trade and then we'll wrap. Touch +2 and wait for the trade. Expand vertically, sure. See how we're actually short of this side, trying to get our target. And by getting our target, because of the fact that we're actually zigzagging to the upside, we're going to take a chance that this support's going to hold. This mid-band is almost like a magnet. We've talked about that a lot in our webinars. It draws those prices to it. That's where those prices are trying to come back to that means. They're trying to say, hey, I'm above it. I want to come back to it. And so I'm looking for a trade right down there. I don't know if it made it or not, but let's find out. We closed before this. We closed at 10 o'clock. But this is the trade I'd be looking for. Right at that ellipse, by the way, you could put that trade right there and see if you don't get a little bounce. These ellipses are pretty good. See how that one came right down to the ellipse? Boom, a nice little long trade. This ellipse right here could very easily do the same thing. And you got to watch them. You know, you can't be watching 15 charts. You have to kind of see what's going on. And you can even be ready with the buy market if you want to. But it has to come down to my support. And hopefully we don't lose our short, but it did take out the low, so I'm going to bring my stop down a little bit lower right there. Okay, and this is, like I say, this is the last trade because I'm right at an hour and 6 minutes so far. Right, David, and that's one thing I agree with absolutely 100%. David says his nemesis is watching too many charts. 2 is usually good. 3 gets a little bit much, and 4, we do 4 in the room because there's 2 moderators, but if there was only 1 moderator, we'd cut it down to 2 charts. I can promise you that. Because I wouldn't be doing it on 3 or 4 charts. There we go, we just got our trade. Right on the ellipse, look at that. Now we think, whoa, wait a minute, where's our stop? High, low, higher high up here. So this is a lightning swing, so I'm going to trust it, and I'm going to bring my stop just under it. See, I'm only risking 7 ticks. Everybody see why I put it there? It's because lightning is there. If this is going to head up, even to give me a trade at all, it's got to get a higher low than that one. Because, let me just show you real quick, and then we're going to wrap. See your low here, high here, took it out, right? Came down, bounced off of here, took this out. Okay, see how it took that swing out right there? So that swing should hold on any kind of pullback because they've already tested it. Okay, and notice that we got us a nice little trade so far. And where would we expect it to go? Well, the way this is acting right now, I'd be looking between 82 and 85 and draw me a line, because we still haven't changed trends yet. See, we're still rose colored. We're still short. But notice that we took a nice long anyway, because of the fact that we used our lightning indicator that is, I think, worth its weight in gold because it helps you see what's going on the chart. And where do you think this trade will go? Right up there to that ellipse. Looks like it's going pretty sideways. You can tell by looking at them. See, these ellipses starting to just get sideways. That's because the market's getting sideways. So what do you do when it gets sideways? Trade the bottom, sell the top. Sell the top, buy the bottom. Okay? All right. Well, we could see we got that trade. Still got a little bit of green on it, not too shabby. Okay? And we're going to do it live again next year. Tomorrow, take the day off, enjoy yourself, watch for the update on the website. The videos are being uploaded as we speak, so you'll be able to watch videos. If you get where you just have to have a video, just let me know, and if you've got Skype, I can Skype you one. Okay? But in the meantime, I think the page may still be down. Let me check. We'll check here real quick. Surely they're not working this time of night. We'll find out here. Yeah, they're still under construction. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Happy New Year. Don't get out on the highways unless you absolutely have to, okay? There are a lot of crazy people out there that drink and drive. Don't do it. My son-in-law is a police officer. He'll probably arrest enough people, and sad to say, it's not going to make their New Year too great. But it's better than sending them home in a body bag. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye now. Oh, and by the way, this webinar probably won't be posted until sometime tomorrow either, just to let you know that. I will have it converted, but I don't have the slightest idea how to use this website yet. It's all new, sophisticated, security out the kazoo, you name it. So I don't even know how to upload a page yet. All right, thanks everyone. Bye now.